Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Big Tobacco is Racist. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Courtney Calvin. I am a PAVe volunteer, and I am a public health educator with the Cincinnati Health Department. If you're joining us today, you are in for an amazing treat as we have two phenomenal people speaking to us today. So we're super, super excited about that. I am honored to introduce these two panelists. First up, we have Michael B. Coleman, former mayor of Columbus, Ohio. And next up is Kara McGruder, co-chairperson of the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council and PAVe Advisory Board member. Welcome both. We're going to let you all do a short introduction of yourselves, and then we'll get started. I have a few questions for us today. Carol, ladies first.
All right, ladies first. Hello, Mayor Coleman, and hello, Courtney. So I'm Carol McGruder, and I'm one of the very, very proud co-chairs of the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council. We were founded in 2008 to inform and direct commercial tobacco control policies as they affect Black people. And it's subsequently, the year after that, in 2009, was when President Obama signed the Tobacco Control Act that gave the FDA the authority to bring the tobacco industry and tobacco products in under their purview. And at that time, all of the flavors in combustible cigarettes were taken off of the market except for menthol. And menthol is what Black people smoke because, not because we just like it and it just happened, but because the tobacco industry just perniciously and relentlessly targeted our community, as they have from that day, in the 50s until now. It's continuing. And that is why 85% of Black people who do smoke a mentholated tobacco product. So we have been at the tip of the spear in the national fight to get these products off of the market in the United States and the rest of the world. We love other countries as well and don't want United States exporting death to other people as we take menthol off the market here. So we have worked all over the country tirelessly, where I had the pleasure of meeting Mayor Coleman there and getting to know a little bit more about Ohio and seeing how they do things there quickly and efficiently. And just very happy to be on the panel with him today. And I'm also a proud advisory member for PAVe.
Awesome. What a start. All right. You got a tough act to follow, Mr. Coleman, but the floor is yours.
Yes, I know. I don't like following Carol. She is a national expert, and I'm so glad to be on another panel with her. And I've worked with her in Columbus and Ohio, and she's been a tremendous resource for us all. My name is Michael Coleman. I'm the former mayor of the 14th largest city in the nation. I'm the longest serving African-American mayor in the country, among the longest serving, not the only, but among them. The longest serving in the city of Columbus, and the first African-American mayor in the city of Columbus. I am now the partner in the law firm of Ice Miller law firm, and we're located in multiple cities around the country. and part of my role has been to really focus on banning the sale of flavored tobacco products, including menthol, in the city of Columbus. And when I got the call on that to see if it's something I'd be interested in doing, I have my own personal experience. Now, before I get to my personal experience, we did in the city of Columbus ban the sale of flavored tobacco products, all of them, including menthol. And it was a struggle getting there, but we got it done. And we're very proud in this community of having done that. Now, my personal experience is that I'm a victim myself, a victim of targeting by the tobacco companies. Way back in the day when I was 18 years old, I started smoking menthol cigarettes, in particular, Cool branded cigarettes, menthol. And the reason I did is because I was targeted. We were given free packs of cigarettes. They had Cool concerts all over the state, one in particular in Cincinnati, Cool Jazz Festival. And, you know, back in the day, when you saw Black folks at Ebony and Jet looking very cool, at 18 years old, I wanted to be cool too. So I picked up one of these cigarettes. Menthol, didn't think it was going to hurt me. Became addicted to it as a victim. Smoked for the next 20 plus 25 years or so. And I quit in 2001, thereabouts, when I became mayor. About a year or so, 2 years after I became mayor. And I was taken to the hospital. And the hospital emergency room told me, and were asking questions like, you know, am I going to get a tracheotomy or something here in my throat? It was infected, seriously infected. And I said to the Lord, I said, Lord, if you get me through tonight, I will never smoke again. And I will follow your leadership for the rest of my life. I got through the night. I'm still living the day. And when I got the call about flavored tobacco products, I said, this is the time that all the stuff I've done in my life, in my time as mayor, this one is the one that's going to save Black lives more than anything else. Because in my neighborhood, in my community, when I grew up, we were targeted. Me and my friends were victims of that targeting. Almost all of us have either died from cancer or gotten off of it. I'm grateful to be a part of this, and everything I can do to save other people's lives by eliminating the sale of tobacco products and menthol, sign me up.
Wow. Now I have a tough act to follow. Oh, geez. Well, amen. And what an inspiration you are for people like me, for your community, and for others. And just thank you for sharing that testimony. That truly means a lot for us. So since I'm here already, I'm going to start with you, Mayor Coleman. So as we mentioned earlier, the FDA has been dragging their feet on passing a nationwide menthol ban for years. As a result, local jurisdictions have taken matters into their own hands by trying to pass flavor bans. And so Columbus was very successful in doing this. And so I propose this question to you. How do you think this will protect communities of color and all of your citizens from the harms of menthol tobacco products? And then I'll follow up with the second question.
I think two ways. It'll save lives, and it will address many of the health disparities that now exist in the Black community, help address that. So we did a study in Columbus, and what the study showed was these products, flavored tobacco products and menthol cigarettes, were sold almost exclusively in Black neighborhoods, not far from schools, public schools. And when we looked at that, I said, wow, well, let's see what the health disparities are in these same neighborhoods. Lo and behold, these same low-income and people of color neighborhoods had the highest rates of diabetes, the highest rates of cancer, the highest rates of COPD and asthma as well, at the highest level. Coincidentally, and it's not coincidental, it's deliberate, intentional placement of many of these retail outlets in low-income and Black communities and other neighborhoods like that. And you look at the map, they aren't in our wealthier communities. They're not in some of our suburban communities. There's few, but not like the concentration it is in certain ethnic Black and lower income communities in the city of Columbus. And And so what I believe will happen is in time, we will show that we'll be able to save lives. I'm one of those lives that was saved because I quit. And if I never had access to it in the first place, it'll save my life there. And number two, reduce the disparities of health impact to large portions of people in Columbus. I believe this as I know my name. And I think other cities around the country, Cleveland, Cincinnati, by the way, that's where I started smoking. Thank you. In other cities around the country and the state need to sign up because you're going to save your community. And we had a strong support from the pastoral and religious community. And the reason we did is because pastors were looking out into their congregation and seeing in their congregation that many, many members of their congregation were dying from cancer or sick from some health impact, heart disease,
diabetes, which is
diabetes.
Related. Yes.
It goes on, and it's all traceable back to these products. And so they signed up, said, we're going to stop this. I'm tired of seeing my congregation die. As a former mayor, I'm tired of seeing my citizens die and get hurt as a result. So,
and I want to jump in here too, because, we hear, how is this law going to save lives? How are these regulations? And so these laws and these regulations, they're not magic. We've had decades and decades and decades of this predatory behavior. And a ban will pass, and then in the next year they say, well, does it work? Well, we need to give it a chance to work. That's the first thing. And we need to tweak what might need to be tweaked and enhanced. And we need to do what Columbus did. Columbus went in talking about cessation. They went in talking about services as a package, so that our people need help. And so that has to be a part of the conversation as we move forward, is how are we helping people as we take one of the most addictive substances off the market? What are we doing to help people to deal with their stress, to deal with the racism, with all of the extra things, the burden that we have as African Americans in this country? And as I listen to, I'm a member of PAVe, I'm listening all day. And so the first thing is, of course, prevention. We want, our children aren't born with a cigarette in their mouths. We have adolescents. We have all the same challenges that other folks do to get our children up healthy, and then some. And so eliminating this as one of them, one of the hurdles that our children have to run this gauntlet to get to be a healthy Black adult in this country, which is very difficult. That's removing one, but also of looking at this comprehensively and providing the services that our people need to get off of these products, and bringing in the community to support our smokers, our people who smoke, which Columbus did that. Yes, going in.
We had the ban, ending the sale of flavored tobacco products, including menthol, is half the program. There's another half. And that is not just making it not accessible, but helping those who want to quit. And we have a whole program designed on that as well. So they're married together. We're not just saying no to flavored tobacco products. We're also saying yes to stopping the quitting, yes to cessation.
Awesome. Okay, wow. All right. So we're gonna move on. Carol, you have worked tirelessly for the past several decades. Thank you for that. To help bring the issue of menthol tobacco use in the Black community to light. Your efforts have helped pass local policy across the country. And now we are almost at the finish line if the FDA passes a national menthol ban, hopefully later this year. Over the past several decades, researchers have created a massive library of tobacco industry documents, examples of advertisements. These documents are now invaluable and show that the Black community was specifically targeted, as you both have just mentioned. and cigarette ads in the industry was set on hooking Black people on this product. Can you share some specific examples, Carol McGruder, on how this was done and how Black people were depicted in ads? I know Mr. Coleman touched on the magazines, but if you would enlighten us and touch a little bit more on that.
Certainly. So one of our council members, Dr. Valerie Yerger, who was one of the original tobacco industry documents researchers, she's at the University of California, San Francisco. She and her colleagues like Ruth Malone, almost 20 years ago now, have a research paper called Smoking with the Enemy. And in that research paper, which was seminal at the time, with their tobacco industry's own internal documents that they never thought would be released, but that were released due to litigation, we were able to really look at how they were studying us, how they knew us better than sometimes we even knew ourselves, how they would go to the basketball courts and study what our vernacular was on the court and bring that into their advertising, how they targeted elected officials with donations, how Ebony and Jet had advertising in almost every single issue of Newport cigarettes. And so when you're giving money to everybody, including Black doctors, fraternities, sororities, it buys a silence and a complicity. And I think one of the most recent and ongoing and one of the most damaging to our people is the relationship between our National Newspaper Publishers Association, the NNPA, and Reynolds American International, which is Newport Cigarettes. So how can our newspapers, who were founded to get us out of slavery and who were beacons in our civil rights movement, how can they accept money from the #1 killer of Black people? Money and influence, and it's criminal. And so our press should be objective. They should report the facts and the facts and the stories and the news as it's occurring. And that's one thing I believe, because of this relationship with the NNPA that Reynolds enjoys, is that there's a certain silence on really just reporting what's going on, which, this is some of the biggest news for Black people, since the civil rights movement, the possibility of getting these deadly products out of our community and what needs to be happening. And one of the things that needs to be happening is the tobacco industry, they need to be paying some health reparations to our community. That's something that our Black press and our Black elected officials could get behind, that idea of them coming into some of the damage that's been done, which most of it is irreparable, but that they can begin the process by having reparations to our community of the damage and the influence and the racist targeting that's relentless, that still goes on. And the last thing, and before I pass it over to Mayor Coleman, is the tying of police brutality and the killing of Black men in our community, of tying that visceral gut reaction that we have to these incidences, of tying that to that if we take these deadly products off the market, that is going to hurt our community, because we're going to have Black markets and we're going to have the police are going to come in and start killing Black men that are smoking a menthol cigarette on the corner. And these regulations are about the tobacco industry. They're about the head of the snake. They're not about the victim, as Mayor Coleman put it so eloquently, that our people are the victims of this system. And we are trying to get the industry out of our community so that we can become survivors of what we've been through for these decades of really benign neglect on many, many fronts.
Mayor Coleman, you want to add to that?
Well, I agree that there should be reparations by tobacco companies to the victims of their activities and targeting into the Black community. That's number one. But number two, I can tell you the personal experience in the process of getting the city of Columbus to so graciously ban the sale of these kind of products, that the tobacco company hired former Black police officers from New York and Illinois and other places to come testify at our public hearings to say that if the city passed this law, that it would result in Black boys and girls being arrested on the street corner because it's another reason to harass Black folks. The truth is that that's all a lie, that this law was not a criminal law with criminal penalties that involve police. It was and is a civil mandate involving the Department of Health that has no police enforcement powers, like a normal police officer. And once that was understood by the public, that this isn't a criminal action, this is a civil action. It's about licensing and the ability to sell products, not about arresting anybody that buys these products. And we got our police chief, who's a Black female, wonderful person, who stood up with us to say, there is no need for police action on a civil matter. And Columbus police will never be involved in the arresting or harassment or arresting or any enforcement with anybody that possesses these products. But it's about how you sell them and making them not accessible, not whether you possess them.
Wow. I love that one. Miss Carol, talk to us a little bit about the non-menthol that we're seeing in California, how the industry is and will continue pushing this way for both combustible, but also going forward with e-cigarettes. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I would love to. And this what I'm about to talk about. It makes the case for in California and around the world. We're talking about the end game, which is dismantling this whole machine. And this whole machine includes combustible cigarettes, vaping, the whole package, because as we scramble about and spend all of our energy chasing this beast, the beast simply morphs into other things. So in California, we became the second state after Massachusetts to pass a very hard fought for bipartisan law to take mentholated tobacco products off the market. The tobacco industry quickly collected signatures and put it on our California state ballot as a referendum. So we mobilized again. Meredith came out. We did a bus tour of the long state of California, and the voters supported us, and they decided they wanted to uphold the law and take these products off the market. So as soon as that happened, then the industry releases these new products that are non-menthol products. So they're chemicals that mimic menthol. So they're coolants, anesthetants in there, analgesics, and now we have to deal with that. So one set of one tobacco company released their ingredients, and they're saying, well, it's not violating the law. Reynolds is suing the state of California about the law, so that every single thing that we do, it's delay. Each year of delay, each decade of delay means millions more people are addicted to these products. As we talk about, addiction is no respecter of persons. Addiction is about brain chemistry and opportunity to people. That's what addiction is about. And so these new products, then California is a preview for what can happen then, as the FDA is supposed to have their rule coming out before the end of the year. This is October 24th, that will take menthol and little cigars and cigarillos off the market. So then what the next delay from the industry will be either the lawsuit or the national release of these products. And what we're saying is that these products, as well as the menthol, they need to be off of the market. And that when we are talking about the national level, there's nothing left to smuggle if the products are no longer being made. And so they're gonna make them for export, but it'll be easier to trace. So there's the whole smuggling issue. Then once we have to get the national law passed, the national regulations, then that really puts water on the whole smuggling issue that Mayor Coleman talked about. So we know that whatever we do, we thought we were making headway with Juul and e-cigarettes, and now we have all these disposables that are destroying our children's brains and the environment at the same time. So we need to have that serious discussion about the focus of this fight, because the fight needs to be about dismantling the whole thing and not running around fighting this piece of it and that piece of it when they have such unlimited resources. that they're always, a step ahead of us or 10 steps ahead of us sometimes.
Like playing whack-a-mole.
It's like playing whack-a-mole.
We hit
we're
hit it,
yeah,
hit
we're
it down,
too
and
we're tired of that fight.
Here.
Yeah, and we're too smart to keep engaging them in the way that they want to be engaged, and we have to engage them with the broader picture of dismantling this beast and ending this thing once and for all.
Awesome. Well, as they say in baseball, rounding third and headed to the home plate. We have 5 minutes left. Is there anything that you all want to share for the good of the group today that may help us, help you in this fight, help each other in this fight with these big tobacco companies that are exhibiting racism? Anything you want to share, last minute notes, or anything you have to add? Now's the time.
I want to say that as the co-chair of AATCLC, how much we appreciate Mayor Michael Coleman, and that his voice, his intelligence, his insight, if we had more leaders like him, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in right now. And that we just really appreciate you being in this fight with us, and the energy that you brought to it, and the way you know how to push those levers of power in ways that we couldn't. We just really appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Carol. I have to say you're a pioneer here. You're the mother of all activism here. And I'm proud to know you because you've made such a national difference. And you stuck with this when everybody else was turning the other way. You've been waving the flag, standing there, putting the light on a situation. The tobacco companies have more money, more resources than any industry out there, maybe with the exception of the oil industry. And they will do anything to continue to hurt communities, white or black. And what happens when we ban the access of these products? We are saving and engaging the future lives of young people, because that's where it's really all about here. We're trying to get them to a point where they will not have the temptation of smoking nicotine products, and flavored tobacco is the temptation. It graduates into menthol, which graduates into health problems and oftentimes into death. And we have to reach out to our young people early to make sure that they're safe for later in life, have a long life. I'm lucky. It was 20 plus years ago I stopped. I'm living today because I stopped. And I want my children and my children's children to have a great future. And one way to do that is to get rid of the disparaging aspects of tobacco that impact so many lives, so many Black lives in our country.
Well, there, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. From the two professionals and the pros, as our time now here comes to a close, we'd like to thank Dr. Carol McGruder and Mayor Michael Coleman. We are in debt to you both, and thank you for being here today, and thank you, PAVe, for having us.
Yes, thank you, PAVe.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, PAVe.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Redmond, and I'm from Darien, Connecticut. I'm a volunteer with PAVe, and I got involved because my son was vaping at an early age, and I was very concerned about his health and well-being. I'm very excited today to introduce to you Senator Richard Blumenthal, who has been a champion in this fight from the very beginning. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Richard Blumenthal, your United States Senator. Thank you to Parents Against Vaping E-Cigarettes for hosting this third annual Clear the Vapor Conference. And thank you to all of the advocates, researchers, and experts who have joined today. E-cigarettes pose a desperately serious threat to the short and long-term health of all Americans, but especially children. Study after study after study has shown these highly addictive products not only harm brain development, but often contribute to adolescents struggling with learning, mental health issues, and possible addiction to other substances. In last year's FDA and CDC National Youth Tobacco Survey, more than 2.5 million middle and high school students reported regular use of e-cigarettes. These numbers are deeply troubling, and they show us all the challenges ahead. I've been fighting big tobacco my entire career. As Connecticut's Attorney General, I led a lawsuit targeting the industry's misleading claims and advertising directed at children. Our victory in that case resulted in a multi-billion-dollar settlement for taxpayers and helped expose big tobacco's lying playbook. Yet, industry giants like Juul and Elf Bar continue to try and put profits over kids' health and safety, luring consumers with flavored products and deceptive marketing. That's why earlier this year, I joined my colleagues in reintroducing the No Tax Subsidies for E-Cigarette and Tobacco Ads Act, which would close tax loopholes that benefit e-cigarette manufacturers and tobacco products. I've also been proud to lead the PROTECT Act, which would authorize $500 million for enhanced research and education about the deeply harmful effects of tobacco products. And I've continuously called on the FDA to finalize pre-market review of flavored cigarettes. Each day that goes by without adequate enforcement means more children begin vaping and using tobacco products. There's a lot of work left to be done, but I know with great groups like yours and the public health professionals here today, we're going to protect kids against these deeply dangerous dangers. I am going to commit to a safer, better future for our kids. I know you will too. We need all of the public on our side. Keep up the great work, and thank you for being there today and every day for our kids.
We want to thank Senator Blumenthal for his very kind words. And as he said, he has been in this fight for a long time, as has Ron Wyden, who we heard from earlier, and Senator Durbin. And we all want to protect kids. You know, every child in the world and in this country deserves a healthy start. And I just want to point out, I want to give a special shout out to Courtney Calvin, our PAVe volunteer. She did a great job moderating what was a really important conversation about menthol and generational nicotine addiction perpetrated by the tobacco industry. And I also just want to say one more thing, which is this was a generation, remember, as I think Senator Blumenthal just said, that would otherwise not have been using tobacco products, but for the introduction of Juul onto the market that changed the game and the many bad actors that have followed. This was not a generation that would have been using these tobacco products. We know that because the youth smoking rate was it was the lowest it had ever been before that.